Hello, good evening and welcome to a Gooner Ramble, an Arsenal fan TV podcast. We're recording this on Thursday. We've had about 2 days to probably cry/recover. And we're going to be discussing tonight the 2-0 win, but unfortunately loss to Monaco in the Champions League. And with me is regular Judd. Judd, how are you, mate?
Oh, pretty good. Yourself?
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
All that begins well ends well, eh?
Right.
And we've got who you asked for. We've brought him back for you. It's Clive P. A.F.C. How you doing, Clive?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Good man. So guys, you know, it's 5 years in a row now. The doom and gloom of the Champions League. We had to go to Monaco, score 3 goals, which no one's done in 3 years at that ground, and no one in Europe had done since 1995 when Leeds, with a Tony Yeboah hat-trick, the Ghanaian legend that is Tony Yeboah, done it. So, you know, I'll go to you first, Clive. What did you make of the whole thing?
Yeah, it's far too many Arsenal fans predicted the result, which tells you something that we all know our team better than we realise. Many people predicted a 2-0, and guess what? We had a 2-0. But there is sort of two ways in my thoughts to really to look at this game. You can look at it from what I call, okay, we've been here before, a Groundhog Day perspective, or you can try and look at what's happening, what's different about the team. And I think from a Groundhog Day perspective, we all know we blew it in the first leg. The third goal, it felt terminal, and it ended up being terminal. When I was watching the game, really, and again, we've seen a recent determination and a recent sort of application from the team this year, especially in 2015, and it was there again. And what I have sort of felt against previous years, that our best wasn't quite good enough. But what I'm seeing this year, as with the 2 wins in Manchester and on against Monaco on Tuesday, our best is starting to feel like it could be good enough again. So you can look at it in 2 ways. You can look back and say, you know what, this is the same old Arsenal, same old Wenger. He needs to prepare. Or you can look at our performance and say, well, actually, there's something happening here. There is a team that's potentially bursting out, and a real team that could really compete. And you might say, well, you know what, Clive, that's Groundhog Day again. But this time I think there's something different about the application we showed and the pattern that we showed, the pressing, the energy, the control. It wasn't frantic. We were controlled about our possession, and we scored goals at the right time. And if you look at the game completely, as in the first leg, we made a lot of chances, and we scored our second goal with 15 minutes to go. That left a significant chunk of time to get the third, and we didn't quite execute, which is a real shame, because that performance now will never be viewed as it could be viewed. I mean, there were some absolutely wonderful things happening in that game that are going to be dismissed as another failure, and it's a bit of a shame, in my opinion.
Judd, that very well summed up there, Clive. Judd, are you more of the same, or are you? I know we had our WhatsApp group going to and fro. Yeah. Unfortunately, they can't be on tonight. It would have been a hectic.
Yeah.
I don't like hosting at best of times, but I wouldn't have liked to host between the 2 juggernauts of
Jasper and Akil were having.
Yeah. What do you make of it? Are you more on the same lines as Clive, or are you a bit different in how you perceive it?
I mean, I don't know. It's a lot of people on Twitter were going on about it being another glorious failure by Wenger, and initially I felt much the same. It is upsetting, for the 5th year in a row where, I think we're 4 wins and 1 draw in the second leg of the Champions League round of 16, but been, lost every single one of them because we played so bad in the first leg. And you would think that with results repeating like that, you'd learn something from the previous result and do something to change it, and it seemingly hasn't been done. And it is frustrating, but, like Clive was saying, though, it does feel different. Honestly, over the 2 legs, we probably had, 20, 30 chances, and Monaco maybe had half a dozen. They took advantage of theirs though, and theirs were a little bit, gifted, I would say, is, we just completely let down defensively and gave them all 3 goals in the first leg, and, we had plenty of opportunities to score that we didn't take advantage of, and to me, that's a lot of the same that we've seen before, but like Clive was saying, the way we carried ourselves in the second leg was a lot different. We looked like we were, the more confident side. We didn't look frantic. We didn't look, I was even getting kind of upset about that. I thought we looked too comfortable at the beginning and we weren't pressing hard enough, but in the end, we did enough on the day to get the 3 goals. We did enough to win, but actually finishing the opportunities that we did, we did create. That was really the only shortcoming. All in all, it's disappointing, but I'm not too upset because of how well we've been playing in the league and in the FA Cup recently. So, you're going to jump in there, Clive?
Yeah, I was going to agree with you there, Judd. I think I don't feel too upset, and I feel as though there's something happening, and we've been here before, but there's something different about this group. There's a determination. There's a collective spirit, and I just felt even more regretful that the lack of mental preparation in the first leg, the lack of respect for the opposition. We almost made chances too easily in the first leg, too early. I think that made us drop off even further, and we didn't respect the opposition enough. And this time we respected them. We were serious. We were focused, and we looked that way. And we've only got ourselves to blame, really, because we were better than them by a mile. We were better than them in every aspect, and it's down to us, our lack of preparation, our lack of focus, and our lack of really maturity. And given the fact we've qualified, I don't know how many years, 17, 18 years, we should be mature enough now as a club. We should have those thought processes ingrained in our DNA. And we haven't, and we really have to think about that. And Judd, as you said, if we could take one thing forward, which is real, and that is we made chances in both legs and we didn't execute. And maybe as we all think about how does Arsenal get to the next level, that's something we've got to think about, and about how we finish off the chances that we create.
Very, very, very good. People are saying out there that some of us are sort of glorifying a failing. Do you guys believe that? I mean, Leonardo Jardim, the manager of Monaco, he's probably at half time, he was 1-0 down. He's probably like, do you know what? Let's sit back, shut it up shop, let them play to us, and then we'll try and catch them on the counter, which they nearly did at the end with Carrasco again. If it wasn't for Bellerin and Koscielny sort of running back and wrestling the guy to an extent, we could have been really, really sad tie. But what do you think? Wenger's in-game management was a bit at times not what it always is. I mean, we were pumping balls long in the air, and every aerial that we were trying seemed to be, dealt with. I mean, for me, I thought the Monaco centre-backs dealt with everything that was in the air. Maybe we should have tried a bit more pace play, or especially first half. Monreal and Welbeck down the left-hand side were getting plenty of opportunities, but really to no avail. What do you think of that, Judd? Do you agree, or?
I mean, to an extent, I think it was pretty obvious by the way Monaco was playing that their intent the entire night was just not to allow 3 goals. They weren't really too concerned. You look at their defensive structure, they had 8 guys behind the ball at all times. The midfield was playing like a back, 10 yards in front of the back 4, straight in the line across most of the night. I mean, if you saw any of the post-match analysis, they were all highlighting on that, and it becomes really hard to break a team down when they're doing that. And they showed on the night that defensively they're very capable. But even so, we had our opportunities. I don't want to question any of the tactics that were taken, because we very easily could have won that match by 3-0. All in all, I'm frustrated because it's just it feels like more of the same, but at the same time I'm not, because I think we played much better over the 2 legs than we have in years past.
Yeah, I agree. I think for me, guys, I think when the game started, I thought Monaco just they look very, very strong. They look very physical. They're a very big team. The two centre backs they're very robust. They don't mind the cross ball. And I looked at the game. I thought, crikey, it's like a reminder of how good they were in the home game. I thought they were excellent. And physically, I thought we were bossed in that when they played in the Emirates. And it started quite similar. I thought, crikey, we'd be lucky to win this game. But then we got on top. And again, Santi Cazorla playing deeper. Coquelin using the ball really well. And Ozil, those three combining very well. The energy of Welbeck and the surprising wing play of Welbeck got us into the game. Sanchez was, putting his effort in, but he was very, very wasteful. I'm sure we'll speak about him later. But then Giroud was super focused, and we got on top of them, and then they retreated. They retreated into their block, they retreated into their 2-4s, and they went very, very deep. And we scored at a time, just in time, and then just for half time. And then we sort of then did revert to a slightly different game plan offensively. And we were sort of forced, they gave us the wide spaces, and we were forced to cross. And we crossed to two very strong centre-backs. And we sort of ran out of ideas in the end. We ran out of energy. We put so much into it. We had the chance with about 8 minutes to go when Giroud got in Sanchez's way. Then after that, it was just a little bit nearly. And it was so disappointing, but there was still some really, really positive signs amongst all that.
Yeah, just coming back onto Sanchez, the way I looked at it, I thought maybe his heart overruled his head in this game especially. I think he was trying things that were a bit, too fancy maybe for the tie. It's sort of a game where, alright, at least he's manning up and trying to grab it by the scruff of the neck, but sometimes, all these fancy step-overs and, he lost the ball more than he, sort of won it and kept it. What did you make of Sanchez, Clive? Was it more the same, or?
Yeah, it's sort of like, it's a very interesting debate between Sanchez and Ozil. And if you looked at the game without any sort of preferences, and we all watch the game with our preferred players in our own minds, and Sanchez really got the ball, I don't know, about 8 or 9 times early on. He must have lost it every time. And then you look at our first goal, and he was the one that ran back and dispossessed the guy for the quick transition, through 1-2 Welbeck, Giroud, and then we scored. And you think we're 1-0 up, and he's actually had a shocking first half, but without his work rate, he wouldn't have got that goal. And then you look at Ozil, and then you think, okay, for those people who don't like Ozil, and everyone's waiting for him to show a similar work rate, visible body language that's similar to Sanchez. But again, Ozil's not like Sanchez, and his ball retention was far greater. Yet, if you're watching ITV Sport, you think, well, actually, Ozil's the worst player in the world, let alone the worst player on the pitch.
Yeah, very true.
And the whole narrative of the commentaries is seen within Ozil's performance, and it's just a little bit tiresome, really. Look at the collective play that Ozil's part of, and I thought, especially in the second half, we were tremendous in midfield and totally dominated them. Took Coquelin out. We've got even better, and it was. I think sometimes we don't always see the fact that Arsenal is quite a modern team in midfield, and we do play in a different way to most English teams. And rather than look at things we don't understand and criticise because we don't understand someone's body language, how about looking at how we play one touch, always playing it early, giving the man to receive the ball as much time to move it on. And some of the things that we do in midfield, they should be seen differently. And but it's going to be, we're getting educated watching Mesut Ozil, and so the people who don't support Arsenal are a little bit behind us. So take a little bit of time.
Yeah. Judd, I'll come to you. You got any words on Sanchez and Ozil? I mean, for me, Ozil, I thought had a fantastic game. I weren't best, pleased with him at half-time, swapping his shirts. I just thought, well, for me, I just thought you fed into every single journalists and haters' hands there. If haters is the right word, but
Absolutely.
I don't mind him giving an Arsenal shirt to Kondogbia. Maybe he can get used to wearing it. It'll have a different name on the back, hopefully.
Good shout.
And maybe he's like, that's, enjoy that as a souvenir for now. You'll probably have one maybe in the summer. What did you make of Sanchez and Ozil's performances?
I can understand the concern with the way that Ozil comes off, and people want to. I guess it's the English bulldog mentality. People want to have that kind of player in the midfield, and that's just not who Ozil is. But he's still very, very influential in every match that he plays in, and I thought he had a much better second half than he did first half. I thought he was kind of wasteful with possession a few times in the first half. But part of it is being more aggressive, trying forward passes to make things happen because we're down, 3 goals essentially. Sanchez, I honestly think he's just tired. I mean, the guy needs a break. I mean, outside the League Cup, how often has he not played the full 90?
Well, you say that he played the League Cup game against Southampton as well, didn't he? He
scored
that free kick, yeah. So.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's getting to the point now where it's like, I mean, anybody would be tired. Honestly, I mean, he never gets a break, and is that, I don't know, is that because we don't have the personnel? I don't think so. I mean, yeah, we've been bitten by the injury bug like we always are, but I think there's been opportunities that we could, get, Walcott back in, Ramsey's coming back now. There's been opportunities that he could get at least some time on the sidelines, but I don't know. I thought he was okay. People want to see the way that he was playing at the beginning of the year more often, and I can understand that. I do too. But at the same time, it's like, man, the guy's probably played over 2,000 minutes already this year. I'm sure he has,
Yeah.
I think he's definitely due a rest at Newcastle. And if you look at our bench on Tuesday, we really only had Walcott and Ramsey to come on. Riziki was ill. Oxlade-Chamberlain was injured. So we sort of lacked another forward, actually. We were one sort of forward player short. We decided not to have Akpom on the bench. Obviously, I'm not sure it was even the Champions League squad. So we were one forward light, and we needed that third player with energy, really. We didn't quite have it. Sanchez is someone that maybe Wenger can't stop playing. It's so easy for him to pick him because he's a bit of a street player. He just likes to play all the time. But I don't think you'll find many Arsenal fans that will say the guy is fresh. He looks a little bit tired. He can still put a performance in that doesn't attract the Paul Scholes of this world to annihilate him. He can still put the work rate in because in this country we prefer players like a James Milner and a Jordan Henderson. We can understand what they're doing. I'm afraid James Milner is one of the most famous footballers in the world today for having his legs, have the ball pushed through his legs by Messi.
I saw you talk about Milner. I saw a tweet last night that it said Messi's been more in between James Milner's legs than his wife, which had me. I was rolling on the floor. I thought that was hilarious.
It's indicative of how we look at football.
Yeah.
We look at football by things we understand. And when we see something that we don't quite understand, rather than look at it and try and learn from it, we try to make that player be like a player we do understand. So we look at Mesut Ozil, for example, and think, well, why doesn't he work like James Milner? Well, I'm thinking, well, actually, can you see what he does on the football, the things that James Milner can't do? And it really is, we've got to open our minds up to learn how other countries play in midfield, particularly how they control the game, how they control space, how they think 3 or 4 passes ahead. Because last time when I look at the British teams in the international football, we haven't got a great record. So maybe we can learn something. But rather than that, we choose to sort of go a little bit parochial and say, well, our way's the best way, and let's have some energy, let's have some work rate, and the Premier League is great, and you know what, it's to and fro, which it is great. It's an event, but there is an opportunity to learn from people who are slightly different to ourselves.
Yeah, agreed. I'll talk now mainly about the forward men. Obviously, Giroud, he got the goal. He missed a couple of chances, but he really needed that goal, didn't he, after the first leg? I mean, the pounding the man got, where some of it was quite unjust. I think he's had, a good season, considering the goal record since he's been back from injury. I think he's played quite well. and he always seems to be there, doesn't he? He doesn't go hiding in games like some people have said, and they, a lot of people said he doesn't score on a big stage, but Champions League game, he took his chance well. What did you make of Giroud, Clive? Did you think he had a good game?
Yeah, I think he had a great game. Last time we spoke, we were talking about Danny Welbeck and how he performed at Old Trafford, how he had to fight off the demons, and I felt similarly to Giroud. He turned up with the first leg in his mind, and he looked super serious. And when he scored, there wasn't a smile on his face. The job wasn't done. He was, in the first leg, the centre half, I can't remember his name, I should know it actually, the ball-deaded centre half a Monaco. He smashed into him.
I want to say it's like Abdenur or something. Yeah, I don't know. I'm probably wrong.
and he's been absolutely brilliant in both legs.
He was superb.
And he smashed Giroud in the first leg. He got him early with a big foul. He took him out of his stride. And after that, Giroud was looking for him. He was edgy. And he didn't score, and he got took off after 60-plus minutes, which has never happened in Wenger time, because we all know it's 69, 70. So he was pulled off the pitch at home, completely destroyed. In the second leg, he's come out, and he has smashed the centre-half early. He has shook him up, and suddenly he's ragdolling them around left, right, and centre. Physically, he was in charge. And he looked brilliant. And he just ran out of energy in the last 15, 20. He almost tried too hard and sort of didn't pace himself correctly. So, it wasn't his fault. You don't want to blame him for trying too hard. But as Judd said earlier, when it comes down to it, in both legs, we had chances to win that tie. And there are people, out there who are going to rightly question, have we got the right forward to take us to the next level? Because forwards are judged, rightly or wrongly, on their goals and on their ratio of accepting chances. And right now, as good as he's been, and he's probably one of our most valuable players, there's still a debate about his quality and his class. And, will he score the goals we need to take us back to the where we were sort of 10 years?
Like you talked about earlier as well, is that chance near the end for Sanchez is a free header, and you can see Sanchez is telling him to leave it. But for me, when you look at Giroud himself, why is he going with a foot? Why isn't Giroud trying to put his head through the ball? That's where I think people criticise him, because they'll see him, he's not a small person, so why himself hasn't he gone to head the ball? Why is he jumping with the foot out? And also, why is he not listening to his teammate in Sanchez, who's telling him to leave that ball behind? Do you think Judd sometimes maybe Giroud tries to take things in his own stride to get some of the negativity off his back, or do you think maybe he was like, I might have a chance of hitting this with my foot, so I'm going to take it anyway, even though my teammates told me to leave it alone?
Well, I hate to try to speculate on what a person's thinking, especially on the football pitch. I mean, who knows if he even heard Sanchez or not? It's hard to say, but I can understand maybe him thinking in the back of his mind, I got to really step up my game, because he hears so much negativity in the press and in the on Twitter and whatnot. But all in all, I mean, it's been one of the legitimate criticisms of Giroud over previous seasons that his conversion rate is lackluster at best. But I think this year he's done much better. I put out a tweet on, I think it was Monday afternoon or maybe Tuesday before the match. Over the last 3 years they had, his conversion rate in 2013 was around 13%. Then the next year it was 17, and then this year it's up to 28. His first season with us was 8 shots per goal. Now it's down to 3.5. He's always scored the goals, in a decent amount, but now he's actually doing it with fewer opportunities, and hopefully, that just keeps going in that direction, because I think that legitimately has been one of the biggest criticisms of his game, is that he needs too many opportunities to convert one. And, I think that reared its head again in the first leg. We convert some more of those chances that he had early on. It completely changes the tie. Instead of being down, we're up. So, all in all, I'm kind of with Clive. I think that we need somebody better moving forward, but I don't want to say that Giroud's not Arsenal quality, because I feel that he is.
Yeah.
To sum things up.
That's a fair assessment. Going on to the player we've all talked about, spark debate in our WhatsApp group, Danny Welbeck. For me personally, I thought, he had a really good game. Instead of him coming off, I know he was a bit tired and looked wilting, but I would have took off Sanchez, like I've said. I think his heart was overruling his head, and I think Welbeck was putting himself about there, and he is one as well where at times we were just trying to walk it in for me, and at least Welbeck will pull the trigger sometimes. I know Cazorla used to, but he's been a bit hesitant lately to really lash one in. What did you make of Danny Welbeck, Clive? I know you've said a lot on Twitter recently.
I've been on Twitter quite a lot. I need to start.
I like reading it, mate. I like your analysis. So if you want to share that to the masses that don't follow you on Twitter as well.
No, I think when I look at Danny Welbeck, I look at the squad. And I look at what he's doing and who he's keeping out of the team. Right. So a year ago, we all pick our number one Arsenal teams, and Theo Walcott's in that team in almost every single one. On the right-hand side. Danny Welbeck is now, for me, very, very, very close. He's a 12th man. It's between him and Oxlade-Chamberlain on that side. And he really surprised me with his quality, really. He came on against West Ham. He looked very bright. He had his moment against Man United, which we spoke about last week. And I was hopeful that he would kick off his career. There were some things he did against Monaco, especially when he did some really stop and start dribbles on the right hand side, and he was really tormenting them. He's got a great physical stature, and Monaco were a big team. And I felt we looked to him and Giroud to really shake them. And at the moment, I look at Danny Welbeck and I look at his game. I say, okay, let me compare you to Theo Walcott, because that's what you got to do in a squad. You've got to say, who's my number one competitor? And I look at Welbeck, he's taller, he's better in the air than Theo Walcott. He's had more time on the left than Theo Walcott has. He's now shown in this week he can really play on the right. He's had more time at centre forward. He's a better defender as a forward. He can defend in his own box. The pace differential is minimal. I'm looking at him, I'm saying, you're a better player than Theo Walcott right now. The goal differential is not the same. The goal output, is not the same. When Theo's hot, he can really finish. But Theo's got something that really annoys me. When he plays, he puts himself into areas where he can't receive the ball. He almost marks himself. And football's all about utilising space, and if there is no space, then you have to revert to your combination play, your technical play on the ball, and that's where Theo's lacks. That's what Danny Welbeck has developed, and is developing even more, being at Arsenal. He can combine with the rest of the team. He can go long distances. He can go behind. He can play back to goal. He's got a game that's really developing fast. And developing at a faster rate than, say, Theo Walcott. It hasn't got to be an either-or, but you're asking yourself, actually, when you get selected now, less and less people are asking, well, why are we not playing Walcott? And so all you need to do is really start to produce more end products, start to finish more often, and he's going to be a very hard player not to pick in our first 11 every week.
Judd, Danny Welbeck, off you go, mate.
Well, the biggest thing I like about him is it's a bit higher level thinking, but you can tell that he's a striker first and a winger second. And like Clive was saying, that when you look at the people that he's displacing, they look like wingers first and strikers second. He's always thinking, what can I do to create to score a goal, whereas the other people are thinking, what can I do to create the goal? And I think we need more of that direct play in our game that he would provide, because even Giroud, he a lot of times is trying to bring in the midfield to play off of him. And I think Welbeck being more aggressively minded fits what we need more right now than the other options to play on the right side. And, the other nice thing about having Welbeck out there is if we needed to convert to a 4-4-2 or more of a two-striker formation, I think that he's better suited for that. On the night, I thought that he did do a good job of creating space. Another thing Clive was talking of, he would run in behind players, bring people wide, creating more space in the middle. Something that it's harder to see on a daily basis. I mean, you're not always looking for it as much, but I don't see Walcott doing that as much. He's trying to get in behind people, which is good, creates more space for the midfield, but he also is Welbeck's also creating more space for Giroud. All in all, I'm happy to have him at Arsenal for sure. And as Clive was saying, I can see a brighter future for him than Walcott. I think there's still some questions from Walcott as, how is he's going to recover from his knee injury. And that might be part of his, his struggles this year. I mean, struggles might be a bit harsh, but, part of the reason he's not getting back into the side as quickly this year is, maybe he isn't performing at the same level he was, in training prior to the injury. But, to sum it all up, yeah, I'm happy that he's here and I'm looking forward to the future with Welbeck.
Cool. People talk about Arsene Wenger's in-game management. We touched upon it earlier. He did roll the dice. He took Coquelin off, which allowed, not that Monaco were going to anyway, but it did leave us a bit, exposed if they were going to come out the blocks. And it paid off. Ramsey got his goal. That's his second goal in consecutive games. I'll go back to you, Judd, first, and then Clive, you can answer after. Do you think Aaron Ramsey's getting a bit of a resurgence now? Do you think, he had... This season he's been more solid defensively, but he's not been that Aaron Ramsey that last year, everything he touches turned to gold and he was producing goals for fun last season. Do you think now maybe this is a kickstarter point for him? Or do you think it's more of the same and he's just adding a few goals here and there?
Well, hopefully it's a kickstart for him. I mean, I think it's going to be tough to get back to the level he was at last year. I mean, that was kind of a, just one of those years where everything, you touch turns to gold. Over in the States, we like to call that, player being in the zone. Just everything works for him. And you're going to have fits and starts in any career. But yeah, I think it was a brilliant move on the night, bringing off Coquelin to get Ramsey on the field. I think the situation called for it because obviously as the game developed, you could see Monaco getting more and more defensive. And while Ramsey's not as defensive as Coquelin, he still has defensive qualities to his game. So it's not like we were really sacrificing too much, but he does have a lot more offensive capabilities. So it was the right move at the time, I thought. And it was brilliant. It paid off I think, 5-10 minutes? It paid off. But yeah, hopefully for the rest of the season, we're going to need him. If we're going to mount a title challenge from, way back, but, it's still possible, I guess. It would be great to have some more goals from the midfield in general.
Nice. Clive, what about you with Aaron Ramsey? Do you agree? Do you disagree? I know you were posting a few tweets today, I saw.
Oh dear. Again. Ramsey, for those that know me, I could fill up the rest of the pod with Ramsey, honestly.
I'm not going anywhere, mate. You go. you crack on.
I think if you look at Ramsey's attributes, he is what I call the modern midfielder, right? He can defend, he can attack, he can dribble, he can pass, he can shoot, he can score, right? So he's got the lot. He's about the right size. He's a good 5'10". His pace isn't perfect, but he's not far away. If he was 2 inches taller and he was a yard quicker, he'd be called Paul Pogba. There's not much difference really in attributes. But the difference for me with Ramsey is how he manages games and how he sees himself within the construct of the team. Sometimes you have to look and say, well, actually, this team needs something else. It doesn't need me to be what I want to be. It needs a little bit of stability. And the perfect example is the guy that's not really made for the position. That's Santi Cazorla. And he has looked at the team, looked at where his career is going, look at his attributes, and said this team needs a brain in the middle of the pitch. It needs quick distribution. It needs positioning. It needs distances. It needs stability. And even though I'm only 5'6", I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to sit deep and I'm going to stay behind the ball. I'm going to dictate play. I'm going to sweep it out left foot, right foot to either side. And I'm going to provide support to my defensive midfielder. And that is exactly what Aaron Ramsey should be doing. But Aaron Ramsey has been, he's been blinded by the goals, in my opinion, and he still is. And so he's very hard to build around. He's very hard to give you some structure. And he's everywhere. Now, when it works and he scores, no one looks at the amount of times when he has too many touches on the ball, moves slow down, defenses get organised, the yard that a player has when he's made a move on his opponent has gone because the ball's not come in time, you have to check out. He just needs to look at Santi Cazorla and how he's playing. The amount of times he moves it one touch, the amount of time he gets it, turns away, moves it one touch, supports the play. His positioning is far more mature. And I get frustrated with Ramsey because Arsenal won't be the Arsenal we want them to be until he sorts himself out. Because he is that man, that central reference point we need him to be. But he's not quite on form now. Against West Ham, he had that game where he was everywhere. But it was West Ham, so I'm waiting for him. And the good thing about him is he's quite streaky. Once he starts scoring, he doesn't stop. And he's got 2 in 2 now. And it would not surprise me if he scores on Saturday. And he could be the player to drag us over the line and really make us end the season as well as we did last season. So I criticise him really harshly because I know he is absolutely crucial to where you want to go. And I just hope now he's gone past the injuries, he's got himself stabilised fitness-wise, and he can be a big impact player for the rest of the season.
Good. We'll go to the listeners' questions now. And we got one here from @Arsenal_FC_10. He says, we won well, but not enough momentum. But we have built for the rest of the season. Is the title challenge on? And can we retain the cup? Judd, I'll go to you first. Is the title challenge on and can we retain the cup, mate?
Well, I think it's premature to say that the title challenge is on, but I certainly don't think that it's over. If you follow what I'm saying there. It's
not over till it's not mathematically impossible, is it?
Well, no, obviously not.
That's the thing everybody likes to say. It's not over till mathematically it's over, but still.
Mathematically, it's certainly not over, but I think even realistically, there's still plenty of opportunity for Chelsea to drop points. I mean, just look at this last weekend. You know, they're going to drop more points, and I'm going to struggle with the numbers exactly, but I was watching the Chelsea match, and I think it was during that game. They were talking about points since Christmas, and we've played one less game and have 8 more points or something like that than Chelsea. So there's certainly an opportunity for us to come back, especially if both sides continue to play like they have been, and we still play them at home. So there's certainly a chance. I'm not, going to be as premature as I was last time when I jokingly said we're going to win the league, but I think that was 2-3 weeks ago after the Man U game, maybe. I can't remember.
yeah. Quite a joke about that, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean that was in jest, but I mean obviously I think there's still plenty of opportunity for us to come back, especially if we can continue the good run of form that we've had in the league recently. It's going to require a little bit of help from Chelsea dropping a few more points, but it's certainly not over, but a little bit early to say that it's back on.
Good. And as far as the cup goes, Judd, we know now it's Reading, obviously, and then after that it's either Liverpool or Aston Villa. Do you think that is imperative? That even as a manager, really, do you think Wenger could really? I know he's signed a contract and he likes to see them out, but do you think the fans split if he doesn't retain that trophy? Do you think that atmosphere will come back out?
I guess it depends if we don't hold it, how we exit. If we lose on penalties to Liverpool in the final after walking past Reading, I don't think that there will be too many questions raised. Everybody understands that Liverpool is, a strong side, and losing to them is reasonably acceptable. If we lost to Villa in the final by, 3-1 or something like that, I could see people getting upset again. But, that's one thing I meant to say a couple weeks ago, on the podcast is I'm glad that debate's kind of died down over recent weeks. I'm so tired of talking about it. I mean, he's going to be our manager as long as he wants. Let's just come to that realization. You know, he deserves credit for what he's built for us over the last few years, and I understand the frustration. I've been quoted as saying I'm to the point now where I don't want him to leave, but I don't fear the day that he does any longer, which is sad in and of itself. But I'm happy things have been put on the back burner recently.
Good. And Clive, I'll come to you with the not with the Wenger question, unless you want to answer that one as well.
No, it wasn't on my mind, actually.
I didn't mean to take it off topic.
It's really good.
Fine. That was me myself.
It's really good. I was thinking the same about the Wenger question, to sort of add a little bit of a thought to it. You know, we are frustrated with Wenger, but I think more than anything, some people are just a bit bored of him, right? It's almost like we look around us and all teams are changing their managers, and we have this guy that we know so well. We've heard all his after-game quotes, all his press conference quotes. We know them all. We all look at him, we try to read between the lines. When he's in the transfer window, he says, I'm not interested in him, and suddenly he turns up. We've seen it. We've seen everything that he's done. And I do feel that sometimes we get a bit bored without recognizing some of the things that he's doing. And I do think he's calmed down for now, because I think people can see there's a team emerging. And you look at the age profile, you look at the talent, you look at our bank balance, we know we can add to that talent. You know, in the last couple of years, we must have spent a fair amount of money, 80, 90 million net spend. We've added about 6 or 7 players, and there's a couple of players still not really settled yet. So there's a new team forming right in front of us with a new sort of style of play. And so yeah, I think people are starting to think a bit more holistically that Wenger actually he's not too bad at the moment. However, if we were to lose to Chelsea, Liverpool, Manchester United and finish 5th, then please scratch this from this pod forever.
But just back on topic, do you believe the title challenge could be on, Clive, and do you reckon we'll win the FA Cup? Or retain the FA Cup?
I sort of look at the end of the season and say, okay, how are we going to measure progression? Right, so I have a different view, as always. I have a different view. This time last year, we were crying ourselves to sleep after losing 6 at Man City, 5 at Liverpool, embarrassing scoreline 25 minutes in, large, heavy defeats, and really we were looking at the team and wondering where we were heading. We were very much a flat track bully team. This year we are much more competitive. We don't feel those results around the corner anymore. And that's a huge statement of progression in my opinion. And it's we sort of just dismissed that. But that's where we were a year ago. Only a year ago. Big defeats to all our sort of rivals. This year we've had a bit unlucky with Tottenham and Manchester United, but they were closer games. We had the 2 Manchester results. And I'm really looking closely at Liverpool, Manchester United and Chelsea. And for me, that is the measure of progression. If we're in the FA Cup, it's a pure bonus. But I'm looking at those 3 games and thinking, we are good. We're good at the moment. And we can compete in those games. And if we come out the right side of the results, everything else will take care of itself. So that's my measure of progression. I think, the FA Cup, you just can't tell on the day. I mean, 8 minutes ago, losing 1-0 to Wigan. The major was gone. Everything was falling apart. And we get an equaliser, we win the game on penalties. Football's, it can change very, very quickly. And the cup game, anything can happen. So the cup, I'll just take it as a bonus. But I'm looking at those league games and saying it's time to show real progression and show those teams, show Jose and show Liverpool, who are, talking themselves into 2nd place. And make sure that we can, show them that we're back, and next year is going to be hopefully something we can all remember.
Good. And we got another question here. It's from Adnan2205. Hello Adnan, how you doing? It says, do you see Mertesacker losing his place to Gabriel? Mertesacker has done nothing wrong since that Monaco era. For me, personally, I think Gabriel, he's coming back off an injury. I know Wenger played him and Mertesacker together in the QPR game to try that out, and obviously he got that injury. But for me, I think Mertesacker probably stays in. Like he said, he hasn't done anything wrong for me, and I think you get played on merit, really, and effort. And I think ever since he had such a poor game first leg, Mertesacker. I think he's really turned himself around a bit compared to how he was at the start of the season. Obviously, he's admitted there's a World Cup hangover, and he said, the pressure of being the captain and whatnot as well hasn't really helped in matters. But I think he seems to, coming back to his own. Alright, he's not world class, but you know what you get with him. He can be solid, and when he forms a formidable partnership, either with Koscielny or with Gabriel, you know that it's going to be a good one. So, Judd, what do you think of Per Mertesacker? Do you think he stays in, or would you like to see Gabriel, more so getting in?
Oh, I think Mertesacker is going to keep his spot. I mean, if you would have asked me a few weeks ago after Gabriel's debut, I think I even said on the pod I could see him taking a spot in the back four, or one of the center half spots. But I think since the Monaco match, Mertesacker has looked completely different and much better. I don't really have enough time watching Gabriel to make a real solid assessment of his overall game. I mean, and he's coming back off injury. I think it'd be tough to see him taking one of those spots back right away. It'll be nice to have, another person to rotate back there. So I'm sure he'll get plenty of minutes. But yeah, it's going to take a lot for Gabriel to displace a captain. I mean, honestly, when you think about it like that.
And Clive, what about you with Mertesacker? Do you keep him in, or do you want to see Gabriel possibly getting a bit more time out there?
Oh, well, I've got a slightly different opinion on this one. As expected. I think sometimes with footballers, it's about how people make you feel, right? So, we've all got the reason why football's such a great game. We all see it through our own sort of interpretation, our own structures of how we see the game, right? So I always remember 2003, the first time I saw Kolo Toure and Sol Campbell play together. It was a pre-season game, Glasgow Rangers, and I looked at them and I thought, crikey, they have got the lot. They are quick, they're powerful, they're happy one-on-one defending, they're aggressive on the front foot, you can't outrun them on the back foot. I thought, these two, where does this come from? And immediately I went to the betting shop, put money on Arsenal to win the league. Because once you got that right, you've got a great chance. And again, similarly, when I saw Gabriel and Koscielny play together, and people may laugh at me, but I looked at the two of them, and I looked at how they interchanged different sides. I looked at how happy they were in different areas of the pitch. And they were happy high, they were happy defending in their box. They were happy on the front foot, and they're happy going and chasing a man down back towards their own goal. Gabriel was cautious on the ball, he was quite safe in possession, he's just settling in. But I got a similar feeling that these two could be an unbelievable partnership. Because what they allow us to do, they allow us, if we want, to play high. And I'm afraid, whatever you say, Mertesacker is a fantastic player. 100 plus caps. We all know his record, and he's a great character. And I don't want to see him go, because no player can play 50, 60 games. He's brilliant for us, and I hope he stays. But for us to go to the next level, if you think about what we've added up front, we've added energy, we've added pressing in Sanchez and Welbeck. Giroud's work rate's gone up. So we are much more aggressive in our collective play in the front six of our team. So that definitely lends to a team that needs to play higher. And we need to have defenders higher up the pitch so we can press the space and we can press teams. Early recovery of the ball, transition, goal, much like the first goal in Monaco. To do that successfully, we need a centre-half that can run. And Gabriel's coming. He's coming. He's 25. Can't be stopped. And if he develops, it won't be long, because football fans, we've got very short memories. It won't be long. He'll be in 2-3 games, successful games. Mertesacker I'm afraid, we'll all move on. And that's just the way I see it developing. I could be wrong. And there's always room for rotation, but Gabriel is going to arrive in this team. And when he does, he's going to change how we play. He's going to allow us to play in other people's halves. And that's going to definitely make us a much bigger potential for winning. I think he could be a critical player in our development to get to the next level, in my opinion.
Yeah, I will say on Gabriel that I was at the Everton game, and that tackle he made on Lukaku.
Oh yeah,
they're match winners, aren't they? You know, you can't moan at that. That was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Yep. For me, we gotta wait for him. We gotta be patient, but he's coming, and when he does, he's going to have all the attributes that we require to take us to the next level. And if you look at Chelsea, you know, they can't play high anymore. They've got 2 centre backs which they're fairly old, they're fairly slow, so they defend deep.
Yeah, and you know, I can see what you're thinking a little bit more long term than I was, and
Yeah,
I could certainly see the development of the squad playing out like you're saying. He certainly does have more tools in his toolbox than Mertesacker.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I think that, you know, his abilities would, you know, benefit the squad as a whole, you know, more so, especially you know, after they've got a little bit more time playing together, he and Koscielny, over the next couple months, and then preseason.
Yep. Okay, we'll move on now. The weekend, we got a nice trip away up to Newcastle. They've got quite a few players out. You know, they've got you can make 8 senior players out due to injuries and suspensions. I mean, the big names in there are Papa Cisse, you know, Dummett, De Jong and Tiote. We've got Chamberlain possibly out still. Obviously, Wilshere, Arteta, Debuchy, and Diaby. I won't get you on Diaby, Judd. I'll let that go.
Yeah,
Rosicky, they've said Rosicky could be in the squad. Obviously, he's got illness, so maybe he'll travel up there. I'm not 100% sure, but what do you guys think the game will be like at the weekend? Do you see maybe a change side? Obviously, you know, I wouldn't mind seeing Serge Gnabry, you know, maybe get a run out. You know, I know he's fit and he's wanting to play. I know he's played a few under-21 games. I think he scored the other night as well. So I wouldn't mind seeing Serge Gnabry out there if, you know, we've all talked about maybe resting Sanchez and, you know, Welbeck and maybe Walcott will get a start. What do you guys think at the weekend, Clive, Newcastle away?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, with the game on Tuesday, most of us are thinking about Sanchez should be rested, and I think this is the opportunity to rest him. I mean, I'm going to the game at the Emirates actually when Brazil play Chile. There's no way he's not going to be rested for that. He's going to be playing. So we need to think about the international break that's upcoming, because straight after that we've got Liverpool, and that is going to be a very important game. So you know, definitely hope he takes Sanchez out. Walcott, he's got games in his legs. Big picture at the Newcastle, you know, I'd definitely play him. I would go with, you know, I would go for Welbeck as well, and I'll go for Giroud as well. And I'll play the 3 of them and really make sort of Newcastle defend. I wouldn't play a midfield game. Newcastle got a lot of defensive injuries. I would make them defend. I would make sure we have 3 forward type players on the pitch looking for goals. Once we score, they'll start to look down at their boots and think about their holidays. So, you know, take the offensive really, take the initiative and, score early and, just put the result away, because if we don't win it, we won't take advantage of Liverpool, Manchester United at the weekend, and, someone there's going to lose points. So if we lose points, they're going to be encouraged. So if we win, it's going to put some indirect pressure on those teams to perform. And so when we walk into a Liverpool game, we're going to be in a great position if you win this game at Newcastle. And I've been worried about it. And so the injuries that Newcastle have had have really sort of perked me up a bit, to be honest. So hopefully we don't go into it with a Monaco at home attitude. And we go into it with a moniker away.
I can't deal with another 4-4, especially if we're 4-0 up at half time again. I can't be watching that. I won't be happy at all. But Judd, what about you, mate? How do you think this will go, and what do you think lineup wise?
I'm thinking lineup wise. I mean, I'd hope that Sanchez gets a little bit of a breather. I don't know if I want to see Gnabry get out there, and we got Walcott coming back, we got Ramsey coming back, we got plenty of legs that we can have fill in there, and it's an important match. We need to get the 3 points, and I don't know if it's the right occasion to be having Gnabry get too many minutes, maybe have him come off the bench. But yeah, things are playing out well with their injury record, and ours kind of turning that page back on the positive side. So if I had to make a prediction, I'd say I'd really like to see a comfortable 3-0 win so that we can keep some of that positive momentum in the league going. We can take advantage of United Liverpool, and then we can keep some pressure on the top two.
Good. Clive, I'll ask for your prediction as well. I didn't ask that, sorry. So if you dare to predict, I know some people don't like to, but if you want to.
We'll probably win 1-0 just to make it.
Yeah, do that. Yeah.
It'll be 1.
I'm thinking the same lines as Judd. I was going to say 3-1 because I don't know why, but we always just seem to probably concede.
It'll be 1-0. We'll all be on Twitter, completely contradicting everything we just said. And somebody will pick up on it and they'll say, "Are you the same Clive on that podcast?" So yeah, that's what it's going to be like.
Yeah, they will as well. I've had my hounding the last few weeks, so yeah, maybe you can take some of the heat off me, Clive. I'll be grateful.
I'm feeling pretty good about my predictions lately. I mean, I didn't really put a score line up, but right before kickoff against Monaco, I felt comfortable that we'd get the result, but not get through. And then what was it, QPR? I think I got that score line correct. So yeah, 3-0 it is, boys. Start celebrating now.
do you have the lottery numbers as well? If that's the case, or?
Yeah, if I did, I wouldn't share those. Sorry.
Oh, fair enough. It was worth asking, though. All right, then, guys. Well, I'll look to wrap it up here, and I'll say thanks again, Judd, for coming on, mate.
Oh, absolutely.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah.
And Clive, thanks again for coming on. I know we asked yesterday, and we were trying to do it yesterday, and it was a bit too late, but glad to have you on again today, mate. It's been a pleasure.
I'm an old man. I was sleeping, but thank you. Thanks for.
Funny enough, I was too.
Thanks for asking me. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
No worries, man. Thank you, Clive. All right, guys. So that's been an Arsenal Fan TV podcast. Obviously, we'll be doing one after the Newcastle game, so make sure you subscribe on YouTube, iTunes, SoundCloud, and the website. So
don't
thanks
forget
again,
that
guys.
like button too.
Yeah, hit that like button. Yeah, that's a good one, Judd. Yeah, thanks for reminding me. Yeah, hit the like button, guys. All right, take care. Thanks, people.
1, 2, 2.